policy. It's a Iranian and Ukraine's NATO facility.
And we are live once again. Nice Tuesday with my good friend Larry Johnson. Larry, how are you doing?
Who said we're friends? You're being very presumptuous. Okay, yeah.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes. Hey, you're my regular Tuesday date. Okay.
All right, haven't taken me out for dinner yet.
Yeah. No dinner. Hey, I want to come down there. We're gonna go to eat a lot of meat.
Yes, in a Brazilian barbecue.
The Brazilian barbecue, man. There's nothing like it. Best in the world.
That's the third time you said that. Third is a charm. I guess the Argentinos must be very pissed off right now.
Yeah, well, I ate a lot of Argentine asado, and they make magnificent asados. But what Brazil does is in just a whole nother level. So
there's the trick, the semantic trick. I was waiting for it. Argentina does not make barbecue; they make asados. I got you.
Asados,
Yeah.
asados. Yeah, I mean it's the way they cook the meat is very, it's tough to do. You have to you start a fire with wood, and then you knock off the coals, and then you shovel the coals in underneath. Keep the coals at it's very sort of slow. It's great, but Brazil goes sort of off the hook with all the different meats that come out. So they're both. You never go wrong. Argentina or Brazil, two best places in the world to eat meat.
Exactly. No, I give them credit. They do a pretty damn good job as well.
Yeah, and the vegetarians listening are horrified, but the Argentines have an expression: "La odio la vaca tanto que la como." I hate the cow so much I eat it.
Yeah, I guess that's the difference. We love the cows and we eat them, and that's the special taste. Larry, my good friend, we start with a good humor as usual, because it's always amazingly good to have you in a good mood here. And I don't know why I have a scene issue here.
Well, everything else we're talking about is terrible. So
exactly,
we got to
let's start with the
lighten the mood somehow.
Exactly. At some point we're going to light again, but I would like to start with the subject of the week, the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah.
And this, I don't think I'm gonna go too far. Of course, a little bit into technical details, because I think you already have made excellent explanations on Judge, on Nima, everywhere else. But a lot of things don't match in my head about this story.
Such as, let's go through those.
Such as the rifle found in the middle of the woods. Why would the guy had the time and trouble to disassemble? Okay, because he needs to get away from it, but then reassemble it and leave it somewhere to be found.
It's not clear that he disassembled it. Number one, okay.
But we have the images from him.
Well, we got the video of him getting off the roof, and you can see there is something in one of his hands that appears to get dropped to the ground. If he could have wrapped it in a towel, getting it in there. Initially I thought it would be in his backpack, but I've since seen. Remember, they got that one video where he looks like he's sort of limping across the street as he's walking towards campus. He had the gun stuck down his pant leg. That's why he was limping. Okay. Now, I've also seen someone has demonstrated online that you can, they've inserted a rifle just like that with scope into their pants and then basically walked uphill. So it's quite, you can walk. And what we don't have is the scenes on the stairway, we don't have video to determine was he limping up the stairway or was he walking natural. So you know, the thing I've seen that I just find ridiculous, people saying, "Oh no, he was shot from behind." And it's like, what? So you're saying that one of the security guards behind him shot him? That's the only way it could have happened. That if you, I don't recommend that people watch the video. It's horrific. But when you're watching it, the first thing you see is the shirt moves up. Then his head does this, comes forward.
That's the exit push.
Yeah, well, that's what they're suggesting. But if I came, and I wouldn't want to do this, if I came down and I punched you right there, which way is your head going to move? I mean, take your left hand, poke yourself in the left side of the throat right now. Just do that. Other side, left side of the throat. Yeah. Yeah. See what's happening to your head? Your head's moving forward, right?
It's a kind of
a reflex, natural reflex.
Natural reflex.
So because if I hit you in the back of the neck, my head's going to go back, not forward. And so for that bullet to come out, if that was an exit wound, that means the bullet would have had to hit somewhere back here. Hit you in the back of the neck, your head's going to jerk back, not go forward. If you got hit up in the head, yes, your head would go forward, the force of it. But that is traveling at if you will, a supersonic rate. It's crossing the sonic barrier, which is why you hear the bullet crack. And when it comes, it's traveling. There's like a wave of air, a shock wave in front of it. So that shock wave is what hit the shirt, comes up, bullet hits, goes in, and then it punctured the carotid. I mean, just you call it a lucky, unlucky shot, whatever. And then as the blood starts going, then you see him get this stiff movement and going to the left. Well, then that bullet went in. What's at the back of your head?
The cortex
column. Yeah, the vertebra, the spinal column. And that either that bullet hit the spinal column or the shock wave from it passing close to the spinal column caused damage, which led to that stiffening and upright movement.
Yeah,
so,
that was the first thing I noticed. That movement that he does, that's something got decelerated in his neural system.
Yeah, that was a neurological reaction. Now,
exactly.
When I mean, the minute, that was last Wednesday, and the minute I saw that video, I told my wife, who's she worked as a critical care nurse. I said, he's dead. There's no way he survives that. No way.
Yeah. First thing I thought as well. There was a lot of talk. Plus, from the amount of blood, and again, I'm sorry, people, this is a bit graphic today because it was, and I mentioned this in my show this weekend, not easy to watch video for people that are I classified it as a middle term for me, and I'm comparing, of course, with Gaza, for example, the scenes that we watched from Gaza. That was a middle term.
Yeah,
that's not very easy to watch. It's very
it's horrific. But the fact, the hatred directed at Charlie Kirk. And when I make this defense, people say, "Oh, you were a Charlie Kirk supporter." No, I wasn't a Charlie Kirk supporter. And I would have debated him on some of his, several of the issues that he brought forward. But he was, I give him, I note, for example, I never saw him attack somebody and say, use some epithet, use to attack somebody personally, to call them names, or to, and suggest that their mother had a colorful sexual history. None of that. He would always engage the argument. In fact, I saw a video last night of him engaging again one of his supporters who was taking a very anti-homosexual standpoint about, like, let's basically round them all up and kick them out of the country kind of thing. And Charlie was actually defending homosexuals, if you can believe that. So my point is, he's not this black and white caricature that many on the left who hate him try to portray him. And I think one of the reasons they hated him so much is because he was engaging young people in debate with engaging the intellect, and very dangerous because he was being very effective. So the idea, though, that it's okay to kill him because you don't like his ideas, they try to lump him in with someone like Adolf Hitler. There's just, oh, please. People that say that just to reveal that they're absolutely stupid. They know nothing of history. They haven't read Mein Kampf. They haven't read about the rise and fall of the Third Reich. They're just going after what they've, it's a term conveniently tossed around. Charlie was also not, while he was a devout Christian and somebody who believed that the United States is the greatest country of all, which, I would argue with him on that. I would happy, to go through that. But his views about government as, limited government as opposed to expansive government, those were resonating. But yet he was evolving in some of his views. Because he's only, remember what, I'm sure you thought and did things when you were 31. That was what, 10 years ago, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, you wouldn't do today. So so what that shows is that you're a normal human being, that you're capable of taking in new experiences and having a new thoughts and understanding. And one of those areas in which he was having new thoughts and understanding was with respect to the Israeli war of genocide against the Palestinians. Now, he would still reflexively, oh, I'm a defender of Israel and I support Israel. Okay, get all that. But the reality was he was starting to question it, and he was coming under enormous pressure from these wealthy Zionist donors. Bill Ackman in particular has been mentioned, Ackman of Pershing Square. I know Ackman. We are not friends, but me and my associate, we did some investigative work for Ackman on one of his investment projects. So doesn't it all surprise me to hear that he was pressuring Charlie Kirk, threatening Charlie Kirk, according to Candace Owens and according to Max Blumenthal and other sources they've talked to. So here was Charlie Kirk starting to distance himself from Israel. Now, I do not believe Mossad pulled the trigger. I think the guy they've arrested, Tyler Robinson, was the one. But I would not be surprised to learn that Robinson was influenced through an intelligence operation directed by Israel that targeted the transgender community, because they knew that Charlie's views about male and female were very defined, very consistent. And I'll just add, same as mine, this nonsense that there's 72 different genders and all that crap. The denial of biology is just ridiculous. It's a mental illness as far as I'm concerned. So I could see how an intelligence operation could be used to galvanize that group to act, because there is clearly now at least evidence that's been leaked, if it's true, that this assassination was anticipated, it was being talked about, that a number on that side in that transgender world knew about it. So, I think there's something deeper and darker here than just one lone guy climbing on a roof to shoot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, this is one part that got me really confused. This guy was first portrayed as this transgender whatever group of people. They had time and took the time to engrave some things in the bullets, which is all right, but come on, really. But then the guy was actually from some Antifa group or something like that. No, am I wrong on that? From
I
I
have
understood, the guy was part of some Antifa group.
well, I haven't heard that. He was on this Discord chat. He was on another thing called Blue Sky.
Yeah, it's a Twitter from Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken.
So he was raised as a Mormon, and Mormons generally, because I was raised in an offshoot of the Mormons, they tend to be pretty conservative and will align themselves more often with Republicans than with Democrats. But there's also within the Mormon Church, there's been this this whole LGBTQ element, the sector of Mormons that have been sort of ostracized by the Mormon Church, but accepted by other groups related to the Mormons. So, he could have come out of that milieu. We don't know. But to me, it looks like there's clearly more involved with this than just one. Yeah, one individual pressed the trigger, shot the round downrange. The people say, "Oh, he couldn't have done that." Look, a 140-yard shot in Butler,
It's not too
Pennsylvania, with an AR rifle using a red dot. Yes, that is difficult to hit and accurate, with precision at that distance. However, if you're shooting something like the 30-06 round in this case, which is, the round is about the size, about 3 inches, it's a big round, and you're using an optical scope, like a telescope, and it's got reticles in it. And if that's zeroed, then that's an easy shot to make. If you have zeroed the rifle, and all that means is when you aim, whether you're aiming with the iron sights, the iron sights have the front sight and the rear sight, you line those up, or with this optic, you always have to take time to make sure that when you place the crosshairs somewhere and you fire the bullet, that the bullet goes where the crosshairs are. And if it doesn't, then you make adjustments on the optic that will allow it to move to move up and, the visual field to move up and down. The optic itself doesn't move, or it moves right to left. One's called the elevation, up and down. The other's called windage. So if you've zeroed your rifle at 100 yards to hit a precise bullet of a point, then at 200 yards, when you fire, that bullet will be like 3 to 4 inches below where you were aiming. So that, and I suspect what they'll find with this rifle, that it was zeroed at 100, so that if you're aiming here, you get that 3 to 4 inch drop down there. I think that's what happened. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. So
No, you're never wrong, but you're always sure.
Yeah, always sure. Well, no, not always right, but always sure. Yeah,
Exactly. That was exactly what I thought when I saw it. The dropping effect of the bullet, the aim in the head. You have also the breathing. You went through that, I think, in the judge. You know,
Yeah.
you have the breathing and the heartbeat and everything. That makes a lot of difference in a long shot. But you know, you can see that probably the guy was aiming in the head, and the bullet dropped a little bit. That's natural of the projectile
Yeah.
to drop a little bit, and he you know, at this area, anything it's with that kind of gun, which is
Well,
a
here,
very powerful gun.
you want me to show you the natural arc of movement? I've got a way I can do it. Hang on for a second. Let me just grab something.
All right. Meanwhile, everybody remember to like, share, subscribe. I like to thank Carlo, saying without S, by the super chat, and you know, help the channel to grow and help people to get in touch with Larry's analysis on sonar21.com. Don't forget to follow Larry on sonar21.com.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I was doing some marketing.
I'm back. So this is called a SIRT pistol. It's a laser pistol. Now I'm going to see. I can see that laser dot.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I hold it just like that, can you see it moving around?
Yes, it goes a bit like this.
Yeah. So I'm holding my hand steady, but despite holding it steady, you still see, you still see it moving. So that's called your natural arc of movement. Now,
Okay.
if you're with a firearm, whether it's a handgun or a rifle, there are a variety of things you can do, like controlling your breathing, being in a, having the rifle or pistol braced against something that you can minimize the arc of movement. But the key point is you minimize it. The only way you can eliminate the arc of movement is you got to be dead. If you're dead, you ain't moving. But otherwise, as long as you're living, breathing, you got a natural arc of movement. So that's that's one of the things that this shooter had to take into account as well, and that he wasn't an expert marksman, but he was an experienced marksman. And the difference is, he at least knew what to do or had been trained about it by someone. I could take, if you've had no experience shooting a rifle, I could take you, and in an hour, I would have you shooting and hitting accurately a target at 200 yards with the proper type of rifle. But we'd get, teach you how to breathe, how to press the trigger, how to brace yourself, whether you get into a prone position where you're laying down, or you're in a bench rest where you're seated in a seat and got the rifle resting on the table, but like I said, I could train you to do that. So it's not like this was something that only the most skilled marksman in the world could do. No, because the other thing is you're not shooting at a moving target. You're shooting at something that's stationary.
Yeah, this is important for Brazilian viewers because we don't have that much of a gun culture, in Brazil, and people don't understand. I once went to a farm, a friend of mine farm, and I shot a 22, very small bullet rifle. First time in my life, never had touched such a weapon, very small rifle. It was so small that even a BB gun had more, impact than this 22 small rifle. And of course, it was not 200 meters, but probably around 100 meters. I put the bullet in a shovel about this big.
Yeah.
First time shooting in my life that kind of weapon.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge, and a 22 that has a lot of drops, a lot of drop on this.
Yeah, but all of it depends on really what the kind of optic you're using. You can get there are certain optics that you can, these telescopes, though, they're quite, they may cost $8,000, but you can shoot out past 1,000 yards and hit the target, which and when you're shooting out that far, you're getting a drop of several feet, in excess maybe of a 6-foot drop, because when bullets travel, they're following the curvature of the earth. They're not flat. To our perception, it's flat, but it's following the curvature of the earth, affected by gravity and everything else. So there are different adjustments you have to make. But the point was that this was not some amateur kid with no knowledge who just grabbed his dad's rifle and said, "I'm going to go shoot somebody." This was planned. He had to scout the site in advance. They had knowledge where Charlie Kirk was going to be. They had knowledge of where Charlie Kirk was going to be seated. And so this gets back to, did they penetrate Charlie's security organization? Were they implicated?
Yeah, that's a extremely relevant question, because the security organization. First, I saw some, one of those conspiracy theories videos that pop on Twitter, and there's these 2 bodyguards backed in the
Yeah,
back of.
right.
But then I saw, well, those are his bodyguards.
Yeah.
So they are probably, signing to each other, to other people.
Yeah.
Would that be relevant at this point?
Well, there's some trying to read more. I think they're reading more into it than is.
Over analyzing.
They may have been doing this was their normal security routine at these events, doing signals about who to watch and what to keep an eye on. But what's clear, my view, that the security team completely screwed up. They didn't secure the rooftops. I mean, you could go to that site and look around. You don't have to be some grand security expert to realize those are areas of vulnerability. We got to. What's our coverage going to be? What are we going to do to ensure that there's nobody up there that could fire a rifle down at anybody in the area below? I do not understand how something as basic as that gets overlooked. But it may come down to arrogance. People say, "Oh, we've done this before. We know what we're doing." And man, that kind of attitude will bite you in the ass every time.
Yeah, nonetheless, a lot of overlooking happening recently.
Yeah. Well, the second, we're doing the Monday morning quarterbacking. It's always easier after the fact, but again, that's one of those things. If you'd say, okay, here's where we're going to have this venue, what do we need to do about security? Well, the first thing is, are we going to have controlled or uncontrolled access? Can anybody just walk up? Well, hell no. So you got to establish that there's going to be controlled access. How are you going to control who gets in and out? Are they going to go through a metal detector or not? So a number of those questions need to be taken care of. But then also, what are the surroundings? Are they secure? Are they under control of police or the sponsors, or are there areas of vulnerability? Identify what those are. Like I said, this is not like trying to learn calculus being taught in Arabic. Okay, that would be tough.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But this is sort of it gets back to common sense strategies.
Yeah. So to finish this subject, which I think is the most dense subject of the day, cui bono, Larry? What do you think is the main goal of this? Who is benefiting? And a lot of people is benefiting from it.
Well, circumstantially, Israel, the Zionists, because Charlie Kirk had built a movement and was signaling that movement was now going to be less enthusiastically supportive of Israel at a time when Israel is now more isolated than ever in its history. And now I'm not saying that Mossad hired this kid, but I could see how an intelligence operation directed by someone like Mossad could have reached out to influence the transgender circle that this kid ran in. They're able to identify somebody that would be willing to kill Charlie Kirk. Destroying Kirk, in their view, was a way to try to kill the movement. Ironically, it appears that now, with Kirk's death, he's become more popular, more widely known. People are starting to listen to him in a way they never did before. And generally, when they listen to him, I think they're going to be more and more impressed. He was a remarkable young man who had a good, clear vision. Yeah, he took money from Zionists. Yeah, he took money from a bunch of wealthy conservatives who were going to try to, rat fuck him, try to use him. And for part of his life, he was used. But as he got older and more mature, he was realizing, man, I'm nobody's bitch. I'm going to, carve out, will do what I think is right, which is why he brought to his last Turning Point convention in July, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and comedian Dave Smith, who all were very, if you will, very anti-Zionist. And he didn't shout him off the stage, and he didn't try to argue with him. And it was a sign that he was starting to move. So yeah, from that standpoint, getting rid of him from Israel's, at least in the short term, is beneficial to Israel. But you can't rule out also the whole transgender phenomenon. I mean, this is a mental illness, and this push for people to claim, ignore biology. It's just insane. And I'm convinced that one of the reasons is we got more and more people who are raised in urban environments or suburban environments and don't know a damn thing about living on a farm. They've never been around cows and chickens and pigs and dogs, even, for that matter. Because if you hang out with enough wildlife, you're going to find out they're pretty sexually active, and they don't have such thing as a transgender pig or a transgender cow or a transgender chicken. You got hens and you got roosters. You got bulls and you got cows, and that's how life keeps going on. And then when you get a society so obsessed with trying to erase biology, I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. You don't try. I wouldn't try to milk a bull. I don't think it's a good idea.
No, bull might
Don't
enjoy
do
it.
that at home.
Bull might enjoy it for a little bit, but then you'd be in trouble at the end. Sorry, that's it.
You're absolutely right.
That's inappropriate. Yeah,
I don't think so. That's absolutely the point. Yeah, man. It's also what I'm seeing is also a lot of radicalized. You mentioned a very important point. Nobody in Brazil knew who Charlie Kirk was. I mean, nobody in Brazil knows who is Tucker Carlson or Charlie Kirk or this new guy that has been appearing, like being put in the place of the new Charlie Kirk. Nobody knows what those guys are, who those guys are. And now, politicians and media, it's all over it. I'm talking about it. I shouldn't, but yeah, it's important to understand those things. And yeah, and I think it's also radicalizing a lot the narrative. Lefts. What's Trump's word for it? Radical lefts did it.
Yeah. Well, and that's they keep talking. They're trying to say that there's been all this violence directed against Democrats in this country. I'm going, where? What the hell are they talking about? Trump underwent at least 2 assassination attempts, and you go back, 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, the attempt to kill several members of Congress, again by a Bernie Sanders supporter. So we've not seen a bunch of Donald Trump supporters going out and shooting up Democrats. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
And this idea that you can kill somebody because you don't like their ideas, as a firearms instructor, when I teach people for self-defense how to use the gun to defend themselves, the only time you can point a gun at somebody with the intent to kill them is if they are threatening you in a way that you are facing imminent death or grievous bodily harm. Those are the only two situations. If you don't like how they're talking to you, walk away. Get away, disengage. Again, the only time that's justified to take human life is when that other person or persons are threatening to kill you or harm you physically in a way that would incapacitate you, or kill or harm somebody that is nearby that is unable to defend themselves. Well, you know what? That's a pretty damn good rule to follow as well with respect to foreign policy and international relations. And using that standard, Donald Trump's a criminal. The killing of these guys in these boats in Venezuela, absolute criminal conduct by the United States. They were not threatening to kill.
Second one.
Yeah, Trump said they've done 3. They've done 3.
I'm outdated.
Yeah, and those boats weren't threatening to shoot or destroy a U.S. naval vessel. They weren't threatening to shoot, kill, harm U.S. military personnel. They're in the water. They could have been stopped, but instead we kill them. And so we become, Trump's part of that very thing that he's claiming to decry, this violence against the left. Well, I'm not sure who he's committing this violence against, but left, right, or middle. But, he's authorizing illegal, immoral use of force, in my view.
Yeah. To finish our conversation, because I know today you have very important time constraints. You gave the perfect hook about the Venezuela. I will move South America wide. Forget about Ukraine today. Who cares about them at this point? And you already have a very good conversation about Middle East with Nima. So I'll point everybody to watch last Nima's episode. Was fantastic on Dialogue Works, which, by the way, he was using a Hawaiian t-shirt. Did you really made him do that?
Yeah, you're one of my boys now. I mean, you and Nima, you're the same age as my son. So you're gonna get. I'll send you the official adoption papers.
But you won't get Hawaiian from me. Hawaiian t-shirts from me.
You'll see. I'm gonna shame you into it.
1 week later, 7 FBI agents knocking in my door. Here's your t-shirt. You have to use that.
No. Hey, you made an effort. Wearing a South Park shirt. South Park is quite revolutionary.
It is. It's one of the most amazing cartoons I've ever watched. I watched 2 today. I like it.
Yeah.
44 years old. I still watch. Actually, I prefer now that I'm 44 than when I was young.
Yeah.
So, man, Venezuela. We had the Department of State official account putting a video from Marco Rubio saying 50-something countries do not recognize. When you put Maduro as a president, when you put 50-something, and it is written 50-something.
Yeah.
You already don't know what you're talking about, because this is not data. This is not data.
No,
they are calling it a cartel masqueraded as a country.
Yeah.
So this is shit.
It's all a lie. This is more, when I was with the CIA in the 1980s, the CIA had pretty good control over Venezuela at the time. I mean, the reality was senior government officials were CIA assets. We lost control. We want that control back because we want to control the oil and the gas and the other natural resources. And we're using the claim that there's some major narco state as an excuse. And then it's complete bullshit. It's a lie. we got more drug trafficking activity in this country that is carried out and enabled by U.S. corporations and politicians and other corrupt government officials than what's going on in Venezuela. But we prefer to, like any good bully, beat up on the weak.
Yeah. Larry, who controls the Latin American cartels?
Nobody. You've got, I go back to the days of the Cali cartel, and in Pablo Escobar's outfit, but then the North Valle, you've got, it's very fluid. One of my former business partner, who now retired, Bobby Nieves, he was chief of international ops at DEA. He's actually the one who, along with another former business partner, Greg Pasick, came up with the concept of what was called the kingpin strategy. And the kingpin strategy was premised on the idea that if we focus upon the leadership, take out the top leaders, that will weaken these organizations and they'll collapse. Nice theory. And I think Bobby would admit today that, okay, we were wrong. Because what happens is, take out the top guys, and it's more like you hit a ball of mercury with a hammer. And what does it do? It splits off into different cells. So as what was one solid mass is now, good God, you got 10, 15 different cells. And each of them, because there's such a lucrative trade, they're making money. And then what you get maybe is fighting between those different elements over who's going to control. We saw the same thing in Mexico with the Sinaloa cartel, the Knights Templar. I haven't kept track with all the names, but so the production of the cocaine and heroin that takes place in Colombia, Bolivia, Peru to a lesser extent, Mexico, and then you get a lot of the synthetic drugs coming out of China that are being manufactured, and the connections between the cartels in Mexico and South America with organized crime groups in China. God, that's been going on for years. I'd say at least 30 plus years. A buddy of mine who was a FedEx pilot, number one, he was like their oldest, most experienced FedEx pilot. So he had to ride to Asia. And he was telling me, then this was like 8 years ago, when he'd go into Hong Kong, the girls, the dancers in the strip clubs were from Colombia. In Hong Kong? How the hell, so they were trafficking women to China. So, they don't call it organized crime for nothing. They are well organized, well funded, and they have a global perspective. And the United States is now trying to use what I call a specious claim against Venezuela to justify regime change. That's what this is all about.
The kingpin sounds like the capitation strikes.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Never did.
Yeah.
Keep doing.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I would go to Brazil, but I think our time constraints is it's over now today.
Yeah. I've got another commitment, unfortunately, but I will.
It's Danny. You're going to Danny now?
No. This is someone in Russia.
Okay. All right. So people in Russia,
I think Danny.
watch Larry Johnson.
Danny is tomorrow, or I do Danny Haifong at some point. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was watching your last Danny Haifong. It was also a very, very nice conversation.
Yeah,
nice guy.
I think that's tomorrow. So, stay busy.
All right. Larry, my good friend, thank you very much once again. Everybody remember to follow Larry at sonar21.com. Like, share, subscribe the video. I already told in the middle of the video that, but don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Be a member. Imagine that something happened there.
Hey, bless you, my son. Go get a Hawaiian shirt for next week. All right. I'll still talk to you even if you don't have one.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Take good care, my friend. See you
All right.
next week. Bye
All
bye.
right, buddy. Bye bye.